I grew up in Cincinnati. I have a pretty interesting childhood, growing up in a funeral home. I helped out in the office. When I was about 14, we got a call from a man whose wife and infant baby had been murdered in cold blood. There were very few clues. It made headlines. Cops set up surveillance at the viewing. It was heartbreaking as the mother was holding the baby in her arms. I was asked to take the flower cards and periodically get the husband and ask if he recognized the names. I then photocopied them and put them back. I did it because I was a kid. People knew me, and I was unobtrusive. I talked to the husband quite a bit. He seemed devastated and shaken. The cops told me they had an eyewitness to someone leaving the house the day of the murder. The witness was a 3-year-old girl. She recognized the man leaving. It was the husband's best friend. Turns out that the friend and the husband had made a pact to kill each other's families and run off with their secretaries. The little girl identified the friend, and I guess one of them cracked. They both went to jail on multiple counts, all on the testimony of a 3-year-old. I still cannot believe to this day that that man stood right beside me multiple times, and I had no clue. I don't think I ever looked at life the same way after that.
Let me share a story that's been shaking up my world lately. You see, I'm what you'd call an outdoorsy person. Ask anyone close to me, they'll all tell you the same thing. I practically live in the woods. Working as a maintenance park supervisor at one of Ohio's 20 metro parks, I've got the best job ever. I get to spend most of my days surrounded by nature, overseeing staff and making sure everything's in order. And when I'm not at work, you bet I'm out camping or hiking. Now my daughter, she's 5 years old, and she's taken a real liking to nature too. Every Saturday, weather permitting, we hit the trails together. It's always been our thing, bonding time amidst the trees and fresh air. But last weekend, our usual hiking trip took a turn for the strange. It all started like any other Saturday. We geared up for the chilly weather, ready to embrace the snowfall forecasted for the day. As usual, we ventured off our usual trails into uncharted territory. To keep from getting lost, I always carry blue ribbons to mark our path every 20 yards. We were deep into the woods around 11 a.m. when things took a spooky turn. Out of nowhere, we heard this loud noise and it froze us in our tracks. It was like the whole forest held its breath. Then we heard it again, a woman's scream, piercing through the silence. My daughter clung to me, terrified. I tried to play it cool, telling her it was just an animal. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. We decided to head back, unwrapping ribbons as we went. But the screaming followed us, growing louder and closer. It felt like it was coming from everywhere. As we walked, I called the police, hoping they could help. But with the spotty signal, it was a struggle. The screams kept echoing, and I could hardly hear the dispatcher over them. We eventually realized we were passing the source of the screams, but I didn't dare investigate. My priority was getting us out of there safely. Finally, we made it back to the car and met up with the police. I marked the area on their map, but they seemed suspicious of me at first. After some questions, they realized I wasn't involved. Since then, I've been checking the news, waiting for any updates, but nothing yet. I can't shake the feeling that something terrible happened out there. Those screams, they weren't normal. They were screams of pain, and I can only hope whoever was making them is okay.
I served a short while as a fireman in Columbus. There was an RTA call one morning, 30 minutes after I started my shift. This guy got T-boned while driving home after a night of heavy drinking. He got T-boned on the passenger side when he ran a red light. His wife died instantly, and he pretty much remained unharmed. When we arrived at the scene, he was outside his car, while the wife was still seated in the passenger seat. Her lower body was still in her seat, while her upper torso splayed over the driver's side. Looks like she was just reaching over to the driver's side to open the door, just that she's unconscious and non-reactive. No blood at all from what we can see from the driver's side. The passenger's door was caved in badly. The driver was still tipsy and thought nothing of what's happening. kept asking us to hurry up and extract his wife so that they can head back home, laughing and fumbling around with the police. When the paramedics realized that there was no pulse, we tried extracting her from the driver's side, and we realized that her lower left body, her left pelvis to her thigh, was completely crushed, and she was impaled through her left abdomen by a piece of the door. When we told him that his wife has died, probably bled out minutes after the impact, you could see the disbelief slowly morphing into realization, then ending up as desperation. He was immediately sober and ran over to the driver's side, tried to pull his wife out. It tore her wound up and we had to drag him out. He then proceeded to the passenger side and tried to pry the caved door open. We left the scene then and let the police handle the aftermath. Saw it on the news that afternoon.
I hope you found these stories as chilling and unsettling as I did. It's a stark reminder that sometimes reality can be stranger and more frightening than fiction. If you enjoyed these tales of suspense, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling content. This is your host, Nicholas Black. Until next time.